What if an interstellar object whirling through our solar system is actually a nuclear-powered spacecraft sent by aliens to test how humans respond?
What if everything we know about the universe is about to change? On August 20th, 2025, the sun unleashed a massive eruption, sending a colossal wave of plasma into space. But this wasn't just another solar flare. On the other side of the explosion was 3I/Atlas, an interstellar object on a collision course with our solar system. As it draws closer, the sun behaves erratically, storms rage, and the sky itself seems to shudder. Is this the beginning of something unimaginable? Or are we simply witnessing the calm before a cosmic storm that could change humanity forever?
A new telescope built to track fast-moving space objects in Chile has caught a comet from beyond the solar system moving across the sky.
On the other side of the powerful solar eruption, an object was discovered, unlike anything we had seen before in our cosmic neighborhood. It was an interstellar object named 3I/Atlas, which seemed to have come from beyond the solar system itself. This object appeared to be traveling through our solar system, crossing paths with the sun's energetic outburst in a way that defied conventional understanding. 3I/Atlas was not the typical asteroid or comet that we are used to. Its movement trajectory and the events surrounding its discovery raised more questions than answers. Unlike other objects that orbit the sun in the same direction as the planets, 3I/Atlas was on a highly unusual retrograde orbit. This means that it was moving in the opposite direction to most of the objects in our solar system, adding to its mystery. The object's strange path, combined with its sudden appearance and behavior, suggested it was no ordinary cosmic visitor. At the same time, in Chile, a new telescope designed to track fast-moving space objects observed something even more peculiar. A comet, likely originating from beyond the solar system, was spotted moving across the sky. Its movement seemed almost deliberate, as if it was following a trajectory that had been planned long in advance. The timing of its arrival, combined with the solar eruption that occurred just days earlier, suggested that something far greater was at play. NASA, renowned for its cutting-edge space exploration technology, had been working on advanced quantum imaging systems capable of capturing the seemingly impossible. These new sensors, which measure quantum fluctuations and the very fabric of space-time, were able to detect a subtle connection between the solar eruption and 3I/Atlas. This connection was so faint yet so profound that it challenged the limits of current scientific understanding. These sensors captured an energetic tether linking the sun and 3I/Atlas, moments before the massive solar eruption. This discovery was puzzling to experts, as the laws of physics, as we currently understand them, did not fully explain such a phenomenon. It was on the 1st of July, 2025, when NASA first detected this mysterious object speeding towards Earth. Initial observations led some experts to believe that it might simply be another comet moving in a familiar orbit. However, as they studied it further, the object's strange behavior became impossible to ignore. It wasn't just an ordinary comet or asteroid. It was something far more unusual, and the possibility that it could be influenced by forces beyond our comprehension began to take shape. Over the following days, scientists and astrophysicists closely monitored the object's movement, looking for any patterns or clues that might explain its behavior. What was most striking, however, was how 3I/Atlas seemed to interact with the sun. While comets and asteroids often passed by the sun without much effect, 3I/Atlas seemed to be influencing the sun's behavior in an unprecedented way. It wasn't simply passing through the solar system. It appeared to be engaging with the sun on a much deeper level. At the same time, researchers were closely observing the sun's activity. Solar physicists had been keeping a close eye on the eastern limb of the sun, where unusual bubbling activity had been detected. The sun, like most stars, is a dynamic and often unpredictable entity. Solar flares, coronal mass ejections, and other solar events occur regularly. But on August 20th, the situation escalated into something much larger. The eruption on that day wasn't just another solar flare. It was a colossal plasma filament, an enormous twisting serpent of superheated gas, much larger than anything typically observed. The size of this cloud of magnetized plasma stretched for more than 50 Earths, lined up end to end. And then, suddenly, it broke free from the sun's surface in an explosion of energy that was felt across the solar system. This eruption was unlike anything seen before. What made this event even more curious was the precise direction in which the plasma cloud expanded. According to NASA's space weather models, which rely on some of the most powerful supercomputers in the world, the blast wasn't simply released randomly into space. It followed a very specific trajectory, heading straight for the region of space where Mars and 3I/Atlas were located. This alignment raised many eyebrows among scientists. The idea that such an enormous eruption from the sun could be so precisely directed was startling, but what made the situation even more perplexing was the growing suspicion that 3I/Atlas itself might have been playing a role in the eruption. Its unusual path through the solar system, coupled with its electromagnetic influence, seemed to be causing disruptions in the solar system's delicate balance. It was as though the object was somehow influencing the sun's activity, making it react in ways that were impossible to predict. As 3I/Atlas continued its journey through the solar system, it became increasingly clear that it wasn't simply a passive visitor. It appeared to be interacting with the sun in a way that was deeply unusual. The object's strange behavior, coupled with the sun's outbursts, began to suggest that it was more than just a cosmic traveler. Some scientists began to speculate that 3I/Atlas might not even be a natural phenomenon at all. The possibility that it could be a highly advanced spacecraft, perhaps sent by an extraterrestrial civilization, was floated by some in the scientific community. This idea, although highly speculative, was not entirely without merit. The sheer size and complexity of the interactions between the Sun, 3I/Atlas, and the solar system raised many questions about the true nature of this object. Was it a natural comet, a product of the cosmos, or was it something far more purposeful, a device designed to test the limits of our solar system's balance? While the idea that 3I/Atlas could be an extraterrestrial spacecraft is far from being proven, it nevertheless opened up a new realm of possibilities for researchers. It presented the idea that perhaps, just perhaps, we were witnessing a moment in history where humanity could become aware of something far greater than ourselves, something beyond the stars, and something that could challenge everything we thought we knew about the universe and our place within it. 3I/Atlas wasn't your average comet. It wasn't even a typical asteroid or space rock. This object, which had been moving through our solar system, was an interstellar traveler, seemingly from another star system entirely. The object's orbit was unlike anything seen before. Unlike most of the celestial bodies in our solar system, which all move in roughly the same direction, 3I/Atlas was on a highly unusual retrograde orbit. This meant that it was traveling in the opposite direction to most other objects, essentially going against the flow of the rest of the solar system. This alone was enough to make it stand out as something extraordinary. As scientists closely observed 3I/Atlas, they began to notice something even stranger. The object appeared to be surrounded by a cloud of dust and plasma, unlike anything seen around other comets or asteroids. This dense, charged gas cloud seemed to be interacting with the solar wind, creating an electromagnetic field that was unlike anything that should have been present for an object of its type. The light signals being emitted from the object were also unusual. They didn't fit the typical profile for a comet, and they appeared to fluctuate in a way that didn't align with the natural patterns of celestial bodies. But it was the interaction between the Sun and 3I/Atlas that was truly perplexing. As a solar eruption on August 20th blasted a massive stream of plasma into space, the trajectory of the eruption seemed to be guided by something. Normally, the Sun's solar flares and coronal mass ejections erupt in random directions, but this one seemed to be headed directly for 3I/Atlas. In fact, the eruption was so precisely aligned with the object that some scientists began to suspect that 3IATLS might be somehow influencing the Sun's behavior. Could it be that the object's unusual electromagnetic properties were affecting the Sun's activity? Or was there something more at play? Something that science had yet to fully comprehend. As the days passed, more data came in, and scientists started to piece together a startling theory. The idea was that 3I/Atlas wasn't simply passing through the solar system as a passive traveler. Instead, its electromagnetic field was interacting with the delicate balance of the solar system itself. This interaction, they speculated, was having a direct impact on the Sun's behavior. It was almost as if the object was triggering the Sun to release its energy in massive bursts, pushing the solar system into a state of heightened activity. The timing and alignment of the events only added weight to this hypothesis. While the theory that 3I/Atlas could be influencing the sun was still speculative, it gained traction among scientists as more evidence accumulated. The eruption of August 20th wasn't just an isolated event, it was part of a sequence of occurrences that seemed to be building on each other. First, an unusual M-class solar flare had erupted from a sunspot group, rotating into view. Then, 24 hours later, the massive plasma filament erupted from the same region. Finally, just hours after that, a huge prominence of solar material was launched into space from a spot just to the north of the original flare. These three massive events all came from the same region of the sun and were all pointed in the general direction of 3I/Atlas. Coincidence? Perhaps. But it was hard to ignore the fact that these events were happening in rapid succession, each one seemingly more intense than the last. What made this situation even more intriguing was the fact that NASA's space weather models, which use some of the most advanced supercomputing systems in the world, showed the solar eruption expanding along a specific trajectory. It wasn't just expanding randomly into space, it was heading directly toward the sector of space occupied by 3I/Atlas. The possibility that such a large-scale solar event could be so precisely aligned with the position of the object was startling. It seemed as though the eruption was somehow responding to the presence of 3I/Atlas. Meanwhile, on Earth, the effects of this cosmic disturbance were beginning to be felt. The solar eruption was followed by the rapid intensification of Hurricane Erin, a storm that quickly escalated from a tropical storm to a massive Category 5 hurricane in just 25 hours. This rate of intensification was almost unheard of, and it left meteorologists struggling to explain it. The storm's rapid growth, combined with its massive size, drew comparisons to the cosmic events unfolding in space. The way the storm's structure appeared to resemble the spiral pattern of the Milky Way galaxy was an eerie reflection of the chaos being triggered by 3I/Atlas's presence in the solar system. It was almost as if the storm was part of a larger, interconnected pattern of cosmic activity. But the strange events didn't stop there. On August 19th, the night before the solar eruption, the sky over Japan was suddenly lit up by a massive fireball. A meteor, so large and bright that it turned the night into day for a few moments, streaked across the sky. The meteor appeared over the Sakurajima volcano, which had recently become active again. The timing of this event, combined with the eruption and the ongoing activity of 3I/Atlas, led some experts to wonder if there was a connection. Was the meteor simply another cosmic coincidence, or could the disturbances caused by 3I/Atlas be influencing the movement of space debris? As the days went on, more strange occurrences began to unfold. It seemed as though the entire solar system was in a state of heightened activity. From the sun's eruptions to the powerful storms on Earth, everything seemed to be reacting to the presence of 3I/Atlas. The question was no longer whether the object was influencing the solar system, but rather how far-reaching its effects would be. Scientists began to look for patterns, trying to understand the full extent of 3I/Atlas's impact. Some proposed that the object's electromagnetic field was interacting with the sun's magnetic field in ways that hadn't been fully understood before. These interactions, they believed, could be responsible for the strange behavior of the sun, as well as the increased intensity of storms and other natural phenomena on Earth. The object's effect on the solar system's magnetic fields was becoming clearer, and researchers were beginning to realize that they were dealing with something far more complex than a simple interstellar object. The more they studied 3I/Atlas, the more questions arose. Was the object actively influencing the solar system, or was it simply a passive observer caught up in the natural forces of the universe? And if it was influencing the solar system, what was its true purpose? Some scientists speculated that it might be part of a larger cosmic event, something that we were only beginning to understand. Others believed that the object could be a harbinger of something more significant, an event that would unfold over time and change our understanding of the universe. As the object continued to move through the solar system, scientists remained vigilant, watching for any further signs of its influence. The data collected so far had provided valuable insights, but there was still much to learn. The mystery of 3I/Atlas was far from being solved, and its presence in our solar system was raising more questions than answers. Was it a mere cosmic traveler, or was it something far more significant? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain: The events unfolding in our solar system were unlike anything we had ever seen before. As 3I/Atlas continued its journey through the solar system, the mysteries surrounding it deepened. The object's strange behavior, the alignment of events, and the way it seemed to be interacting with the Sun and Earth were becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. As scientists pieced together more data, the implications of these strange occurrences were beginning to take shape, leading to a growing sense of unease and wonder in the scientific community. The sequence of cosmic events that followed the initial solar eruption on August 20th seemed to be more than just coincidence, suggesting a far more intricate connection between the object and the solar system than initially imagined. In the days after the solar eruption, as the Sun continued its erratic behavior, the Earth itself seemed to be responding to the heightened energy in space. On August 20th, while scientists were still trying to fully comprehend the scale of the solar eruption, another event was unfolding on Earth. Hurricane Erin, which had started as a tropical storm, rapidly intensified, reaching Category 5 strength in just 25 hours. This rapid intensification was nearly unprecedented and baffled meteorologists. Storms do grow stronger over time, but the speed at which this storm transformed was exceptional. It seemed as though the atmospheric conditions on Earth were in some way influenced by the energy coming from space. This hurricane was not just a massive storm, it was symbolic of the growing instability that was being felt across the planet. Its massive size, visible from space, resembled the swirling arms of a galaxy, an uncanny reflection of the cosmic activity triggered by the eruption and the presence of 3I/Atlas. The idea that the storm could somehow mirror the chaos in space was difficult to dismiss. Could it be that the strange electromagnetic fields created by 3I/Atlas were affecting Earth's atmosphere, triggering the formation of unusually powerful storms? At the same time, the meteorological events on Earth were being matched by unusual phenomena in the skies. On August 19th, just a day before the solar eruption, a massive fireball streaked across the sky over Japan. The meteor was so large and bright that it illuminated the night sky, turning it into daylight for a brief moment. It passed over the Sakurajima volcano, which had recently become active. The timing of this event, occurring right before the solar eruption, seemed to add another layer of complexity to the situation. Was the fireball just another coincidence? Or could it be related to the electromagnetic disturbances being caused by 3I/Atlas? As scientists looked at these events, a pattern began to emerge. The meteor, the rapid intensification of Hurricane Erin, and the solar eruption all seemed to be interconnected in some way. Was it possible that the presence of 3I/Atlas in our solar system was somehow influencing the Earth's weather, the Sun's activity, and even the movement of space debris? The idea that these events could be connected through electromagnetic forces began to gain traction among scientists, as it offered a possible explanation for the growing instability in the solar system. The theory that 3I/Atlas might be influencing Earth through its electromagnetic field was further supported by the behavior of the Sun. As the object continued its path through the solar system, the Sun seemed to respond more aggressively. Solar flares, coronal mass ejections, and other solar phenomena were becoming increasingly intense. These eruptions weren't just random occurrences. They appeared to be happening in direct relation to the object's movement through space. The connection between the Sun's behavior and 3I/Atlas was becoming clearer, and scientists began to consider the possibility that the object's presence was triggering these violent outbursts. But the idea that an object could influence the Sun to this extent was revolutionary. How could something so far away, millions of miles from the Sun, affect its behavior? It was a question that had no easy answer, but the more data came in, the more the evidence pointed toward a deeper, unknown interaction. 3I/Atlas wasn't just a passive traveler passing through the solar system. It seemed to be actively engaging with the Sun in ways that were still not fully understood. The idea that the object could be interacting with the Sun on such a profound level led some scientists to propose even more extraordinary theories. Was 3I/Atlas an alien spacecraft? Could it be that this object, traveling from another star system, was intentionally influencing the Sun and the solar system? This hypothesis, though highly speculative, was gaining attention. If 3I/Atlas was an advanced technology rather than a natural celestial body, it might be capable of interacting with the Sun in ways that were previously thought to be impossible. This theory sparked a wider debate within the scientific community. The possibility that 3I/Atlas was not just a comet or asteroid, but an intelligent, purpose-driven object was a fascinating and unsettling one. If it was an alien spacecraft, what was its purpose? Was it observing the solar system? Was it testing the sun's stability? Or was it sending a message to Earth, preparing us for something far beyond our understanding? These were questions that no one could answer yet, but the more data that came in, the more these ideas seemed worth considering. As the sun continued its violent outbursts, some scientists began to explore the idea that the object was not just causing solar flares, but was actually interacting with the very fabric of space-time. NASA's quantum satellite, designed to measure quantum fluctuations, detected subtle tethers between the Sun and 3I/Atlas. These fluctuations were unlike anything seen before, and they hinted at a connection between the two that was much deeper than simple electromagnetic interference. This discovery raised the question of whether 3I/Atlas was interacting with the Sun on a quantum level, in ways that were difficult to measure and even harder to understand. The more data that was gathered, the more the connections between 3I/Atlas, the Sun, and Earth began to take shape. It was becoming clear that this object was not just a visitor passing through the solar system. It was influencing the Sun's behavior, triggering storms on Earth, and even affecting space debris. The object's impact on the solar system was becoming impossible to ignore. As its journey continued, it seemed as though the events unfolding in the solar system were building towards something much greater. But while scientists were increasingly certain that 3I/Atlas was influencing the solar system in profound ways, they still didn't fully understand how. The theories continued to evolve, with some suggesting that the object was a catalyst, triggering a series of events that would ultimately lead to a dramatic shift in the solar system's dynamics. Others believed that it was a messenger, perhaps sent from another star system to warn humanity of something yet to come. Whatever the case, the presence of 3I/Atlas was a reminder that we are far from understanding the full scope of the forces at play in the universe. As October approached, the object was on course for its closest approach to Mars. The solar system was bracing for this encounter, and scientists were closely monitoring every new piece of data: the sun's behavior, the strange storms on Earth, and the ongoing activity of 3I/Atlas all pointed towards something far beyond ordinary space phenomena. Was this just a rare cosmic event, or was it the beginning of something much larger? A shift in the very nature of our solar system. The events unfolding in the solar system were far from over, and the question on everyone's mind was what would happen next. Would 3I/Atlas continue to influence the Sun and Earth, or would it eventually pass by, leaving only questions in its wake? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain: the solar system had entered a period of unprecedented instability, and the presence of 3I/Atlas was at the heart of it all. The question was no longer whether it was affecting the solar system, but rather how far its influence would reach. As the object continued its path, scientists knew that the answers to these questions would have profound implications for our understanding of the universe and our place within it. 3I/Atlas was about to reach its perihelion, the point in its orbit where it would come closest to the Sun. For an object that had traveled across vast stretches of interstellar space, this was the ultimate test. The Sun's corona, the superheated outer atmosphere that reaches temperatures of millions of degrees, would be the final frontier for 3I/Atlas as it entered this intense and hostile environment. What would happen when it reached this critical point? Would it survive the scorching radiation and immense pressure of the Sun's corona? Or would it disintegrate in a blaze of cosmic energy? As the object's perihelion approached, the solar system was already experiencing heightened activity. The Sun had been behaving erratically for months, with a series of powerful solar flares, coronal mass ejections, and other phenomena occurring at an unprecedented rate. These events had been linked to 3I/Atlas, with scientists theorizing that the object's electromagnetic field might be interacting with the Sun's own magnetic field, triggering these violent eruptions. But as 3I/Atlas drew closer to the Sun, the stakes grew even higher. The possibility of a catastrophic solar reaction seemed more likely than ever before. At the same time, on Earth. The effects of the heightened solar activity were becoming increasingly apparent. The atmosphere was being bombarded with solar particles, and the Earth's magnetic field was showing signs of strain. The radiation from the sun was causing disruptions in satellite communications, and the increased solar activity was also having an impact on the Earth's climate. Some scientists were concerned that the intense energy from the sun could trigger extreme weather events, earthquakes, or other natural disasters. The storm systems that had already been seen in the wake of the previous solar eruptions were growing more powerful, and the possibility of further planetary instability seemed ever more real. But it wasn't just Earth that was feeling the effects of 3I/Atlas's presence. The object was moving toward a critical encounter with Mars, and the close approach had scientists on edge. Mars, with its thin atmosphere and lack of a strong magnetic field, was far more vulnerable to the sun's radiation than Earth. The increased solar activity, coupled with the presence of 3I/Atlas, could potentially have a devastating impact on the red planet's environment. The chances of a catastrophic event such as a massive storm or a major disruption to Mars' fragile atmosphere seemed to be growing with each passing day. The close encounter between 3I/Atlas and Mars, which was predicted to take place on October 1st, would be a pivotal moment in the unfolding cosmic drama. Mars had already been subject to a number of mysterious phenomena in recent years, and this event could push the planet to its breaking point. Scientists were closely monitoring the situation, preparing for the worst but hoping for the best. As the date approached, the entire solar system seemed to be holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen when the object reached the heart of the sun's magnetic field. On October 22nd, 3I/Atlas would reach its superior conjunction, meaning it would be directly behind the sun from Earth's perspective. From our vantage point, it would disappear into the sun's glare, making it impossible to see. But from 3I/Atlas's perspective, something extraordinary would be happening. As Earth entered a full moon position, the planet would reflect a tremendous amount of sunlight directly toward the object. This alignment, though seemingly minor from our point of view, was a crucial moment in the object's journey. The reflected light from Earth would illuminate 3I/Atlas, and for a brief moment the object would be able to see the brightest version of our planet, while we in turn would lose sight of it. This cosmic alignment raised fascinating questions about the relationship between 3I/Atlas and Earth. Could it be that the object was not just a passive traveler, but an active participant in some kind of cosmic dialogue? Was the object somehow aware of Earth, or even seeking to make contact? The idea that 3I/Atlas could be responding to Earth's light as it reflected off the sun added a new layer of mystery to its journey. Was this encounter part of a larger pattern, one that we were only beginning to understand? Or was it simply another strange coincidence in the ongoing saga of 3I/Atlas's passage through our solar system? As 3I/ATLAS continued its journey, the solar system seemed to be heading toward an inevitable conclusion. The object's path would bring it into the sun's corona, where it would face the full force of the sun's energy. Scientists had no way of knowing whether 3I/ATLAS would survive this encounter, but the possibility of a catastrophic event remained. If the object was unable to withstand the extreme conditions of the sun's corona, it could disintegrate, releasing a massive burst of energy into space. This would have unpredictable consequences, potentially affecting not only the sun, but also the planets and other objects in the solar system. The impact could be felt across vast distances, causing disruptions in space weather, communications, and even planetary atmospheres. The timing of this encounter was particularly significant. As 3I/Atlas moved through the solar system, it seemed to be aligning with a series of other cosmic events, amplifying the sense of impending change. A recurring coronal hole on the sun, which had already been linked to massive earthquakes on Earth, was aligning perfectly with 3I/Atlas's perihelion. The same high-speed stream of solar particles that had previously caused disruptions on Earth was set to hit the object at the exact moment it entered the sun's corona. The potential for a massive solar reaction was growing by the day, and the consequences for the entire solar system were impossible to predict. But even as the cosmic drama unfolded, the scientific community continued to struggle with one fundamental question. What exactly was 3I/Atlas? The object's strange behavior, its electromagnetic influence, and its apparent interaction with the sun and Earth were leading some scientists to propose that it was something far more than a simple cosmic visitor. Could 3I/Atlas be an advanced spacecraft, sent by an extraterrestrial civilization? Was it part of a larger intentional experiment, one designed to test the stability of our solar system? Or was it something even more enigmatic, perhaps a message or a catalyst, intended to bring about a profound shift in our understanding of the universe? These questions remained unanswered, but the events surrounding 3I/ATLAS were forcing scientists to reconsider everything they thought they knew about space and the forces that govern it. The object's passage through the solar system had already triggered a series of unprecedented solar and planetary events, and it seemed as though the cosmic drama was far from over. As 3I/ATLAS neared its final encounter with the Sun, the entire solar system was on high alert, waiting to see what would happen next. In the end, the question that everyone was asking wasn't just whether 3I/ATLAS was an alien spacecraft, but whether it was part of a much larger cosmic event, one that could change the course of our solar system forever. As the object reached its perihelion, with the full force of the Sun's energy bearing down upon it, the answer to this question seemed just within reach. Whether the object would survive or disintegrate, the impact of its journey through the solar system would be felt for years to come, reshaping our understanding of the universe and our place within it.